welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. You know, it's a dream of every diabetic out there, whether you're type 1 or one of the many other types. If you're on insulin, you wish you were without insulin. That's probably your biggest wish. And so often we think one day we'll get there. But if you stop taking insulin, it's amazing how quickly you can deteriorate. Um, when I was first diagnosed with insulin, and I think it was the Diabetes Dialogue, it was a magazine put out by the Diabetes Canada, back then known as CDA, Canadian Diabetes Association. But there was a story in there about teenage girls getting sick because they found if they stopped taking their insulin, they would lose weight and look so much better. But why would you want to put your body through that? I can remember dreading looking for that drink of water, or I can remember the time that I really wasn't watching myself for about 10 years and waking up in the middle of the night, going to the bathroom, drinking loads of water. I'd end up putting pitchers, not one pitcher, but two, three pitchers of water by my bed, filling them full of ice and using that and drinking it. And it was like gone halfway through the night. So, why would anyone want that? I know we all want life without insulin, but there's a reason why we were put on insulin. Do a lot of you realize that before insulin was diagnosis wrong word, was discovered, how many people died if you were diagnosed with diabetes? You would have 6 months at the most. You eventually just get sicker and sicker, and you'd end up like a scarecrow. You'd have no fat left on your body. You'd be skin and bones. You'd always be thirsty. You can't keep anything down. And I'm thinking, why would people who have a choice now want to play around with their damn insulin? I'm sorry, I get really frustrated when I hear about people who want to do this. Now, there are conditions, I don't know what the conditions are called. I was in the hospital, and on our ward, there was a lady who was probably late 40s, early 50s, who had to get blood tests, who had to get to the insulin, and she was crazy. She would run up and down the halls trying to get away from her nurses. But then, once she got her insulin, she felt better. It's if you're that scared of it, there's a site that you may need psychiatrist help. But if you're doing it mentally, stop taking insulin just so that you lose all the weight. That's not a positive thing. everyone is trying to look, oh, I want more in the female genders than the male, but oh, I want to be zero size. And they get it in their mind. Don't play around with your insulin. Don't play games with your insulin. At least we can control your insulin control, and you'll feel the best you can. If I go through times of having severe high blood sugar, when I get back down to normal, it's like so much better. I can sleep without getting up all night. I can wake up not feeling sick. So, nowadays, there's usually, if you're on injections, there are multiple daily injections. If you're on the pen, it can be made easier. And of course, I can't find it right now. Lord, take care. Take care. Okay. And now there's the pumps. A feature on the pumps is that they can be locked with child guards. So life today is so much easier. The insulin needles are so fine. I would rather take an insulin injection than I did when I had to go and get the COVID vaccine. The insulin needles are thin. I rarely have an insulin shot that hurts. When I was first diagnosed with diabetes, the needles were thicker and you'd have more pain with it. Nowadays, with the thin gauge needles, and also insulin has changed. When I was first diagnosed, the insulin was either beef or pork. And they would use the pancreas of those animals to produce insulin. Now it's all synthetic, and it's as close to human insulin as possible. Excuse me for 1 sec. Sorry about that. So, a couple of rules I've come up with. 1, I will take my insulin as prescribed. 2, I will not play around with my insulin. 3, if I make a mistake, I'll own up to it and correct it. If I give it more insulin for carbs, then I'll have to eat more. If I've given less, I can always add to my dose. 3, I won't start insulin so I can control my body weight. Your weight, you got there by years of indulging, or that's your body type. There could be many factors. It's not going to disappear overnight. And stop taking your insulin will deteriorate your body and your heart. And we already have strikes against us for heart attacks, strokes, nerve damage, and raising your blood sugars are just going to contribute to that. So simply don't do it. 4, I can correct my own insulin prescribed by my doctor. I personally have the insulin pump doing what it needs to. But if sometimes my blood sugars will go too high, I have a correction dose that will come out and correct my insulin. So don't play around with your insulin. God forbid, don't start taking your insulin as a way of control. Just think back to the people before us who did not have a choice. That once you were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, it was death. And that's why they keep calling type 1 diabetes the bad diabetes. And all diabetes is bad unless you keep it under control. So don't play around with things. Life with insulin is so much better. Don't open yourself up. Life with insulin is better than life without insulin. Have a great day and we'll talk later. Bye now. My email address is Mike's Diabetes World at gmail.com. All one line. Drop me